Welcome to another episode of the I Believe podcast. This episode is going to be an interesting story with some reactions from Jasper. Now for this episode, I am going to be answering the debriefing questions for an assignment linked to this story. All of the photos for this episode and the robot baby's birth certificate will be found on the podcast's website, ibelievepodcast.org. The story that I'm about to tell is in the high school. There's a child development class, and one of the signature assignments that you can do is take home a robotic baby to simulate having a child as a teenager. And this is wonderful. Miss Kim hypes it up like crazy, and it's actually really cool, but it's also a pain in the butt.
It's really fun to watch when you are not the person who has the baby, because it's such an interesting. It's a very interesting experience, to say the least.
Yes.
And for Bo, it definitely was interesting.
Yeah, I actually, to ensure that I had the perfect score, and so that I could backtrack my score and be like, no, that was not a thing that actually happened. I actually wrote down exact times for when it started and stopped crying. And so you're going to hear a lot of exact times here in a second, but it actually saved my grade. I'll explain why writing down the specific times actually saved my grade halfway through the story. But here we go, starting off with the story. So I started off with Adagio number 1, aka baby number 9. I picked him up after school and took him home. I sat and did homework, and at 4:02 he made a chime and started to make a strange noise. It sounded like a half cry, and then it was cut off, and it did that over and over and over again. And then at 4:09 that noise stopped. And then at 4:38 the baby made another chime and started crying profusely. I tried to make the baby chime with the bracelet, since that's what we were told to do in class. But what I did not know at the time is that my baby did not need a chime to be tapped with the bracelet, and well, it didn't need to be tapped with the bracelet to get the chime. And so I then placed the fake bottle on the lips and tried to get it set down so that I didn't have to hold the bottle the entire time. And I drove to rehearsal for Something Rotten. The baby kept feeding for half the rehearsal, and at this rehearsal I decided to name the baby Adagio, which is the Italian word or musical term for slow. And that will make sense much later, because I decided that it was slow because I couldn't figure it out myself, and so technically I was the slow one. But then we went to my ward, we went to the Bountiful Temple, and Adagio was turned off during this time because I requested it to be. But it was pretty funny to walk around the temple with a plastic baby. I got a lot of weird looks. Then after going to Arctic Circle, we went home. I had set up the couch so I could sleep there, and so the baby wouldn't wake up my brother when it cried. At 10:28 p.m., the baby cried once again and started to eat. It ate until 11:03, almost a full 45 minutes.
Almost 45 minutes. That's insane for the robot babies, because I feel like that never...
When I talked to my mom, she's like, well, that's how long you ate. So yeah.
Oh,
and promptly at 11:04 it cried for me to change its diaper, and then it did not cry again, which was good for my sanity. That was until 3:08 a.m. when it woke me up. I tried the bottle, and it once again ate until 3:21, which was actually normal later.
Yeah.
It then didn't cry for the rest of the simulation, which I thought was really weird. And guess what? When I took the baby back, it said that I had missed almost all of the times that it had cried, including the ones that I had actually addressed its needs. And it's it told me that I missed all the times that I had actually been with the baby, and it either didn't cry or it was before I knew that it needed to be tapped with, or didn't need to be tapped to chime. Miss Kim is amazing, and said that I can have the second night as a fresh start with brand new baby, brand new code, and so that's how my score was saved, because I was able to tell her, no, here's all the times, here's exactly what I did to address its needs, and I was very thorough. And then in comes baby number 6, aka Adagio number 2. At 3 o'clock, when I was at the junior high picking up my brother from school, the baby cried, and I changed his diaper on my trunk. Like, if you know my car,
Oh.
the trunk is like flat and low, and I could not change the diaper in the car seat without like, making its head fall back. So I put it on my trunk and changed the diaper in like less than 10 seconds because I needed to.
Such a great father.
I will not do that to a real child.
No, I think you 100% should, because that's definitely what you need to do with a baby.
Then it cried as I drove down the street, and when I was passing my high school, I decided to pull over, tap the bracelet to make it chime, and I gave my brother the bottle, and I was like, hold it to the lips. I'm driving the rest of the way home. So during this time, I actually missed one of the cries, but then it continued another one. The baby then ate until 3:24, and at 3:25, I burped the baby for a few minutes. Right after, it wanted another bottle. Then at 4:09, it wanted another bottle. I then drove to my youth city council meeting. We had made it halfway through the agenda, and at 5:19, Adagio 2 wanted yet another bottle. At 5:30, when we had broken into our groups to plan our next big event, I walked around and burped. That was until 5:46 when I had to change its diaper. While talking about the same event. Like, I was talking about the event, planning the event, and changing a diaper at the same time.
On a plastic baby, by the way.
On
not a real one.
And I had the head propped up on my laptop so that it wouldn't yell at me.
Oh my gosh!
Like, every time that I needed to change its diaper, I didn't have a good surface that I could set the baby down on and keep the head elevated so that it wouldn't scream. And so I had to find random items to prop its head up on.
Great father.
I know.
You're a great father.
At 8:22, it started what I call a cycle, which is when it goes through feeding, then burping, then diaper change. The cycle lasted until 8:47, so 20 minutes. Pretty short cycle. I then got a lot of sleep.
That's good.
AKA none. Before Adagio 2 woke me up at 2 a.m. for a diaper change, and then a whole nother cycle, which ended at 2:32. So actually good timing. At 4:41, it went through another cycle, but this cycle actually stopped at burping. So just, 20 straight minutes of burping. I then made it back to school on time somehow. Adagio 2 passed, saying that I had gotten almost everything, which is great. This episode is sponsored by Johnson & Johnson Baby Company, where you can make it and they can take it.
Welcome to the life update.
Since I've been talking a lot, I'll let Jasper do a life update
get
first.
To start! Yay!
You've also had more time to think about it.
I wasn't. I was more thinking about that poor plastic baby. I'm so glad I didn't take that
put
class.
Me through more crap than I put it through. The fact that I was legitimately holding a meeting to plan a Christmas event and burping a baby for 30 minutes.
I remember when you walked into the rehearsals with that baby, I forgot that you were getting the plastic baby, so I just looked over and started laughing because I was like, oh my god!
I adopted a child and I didn't tell you.
Listen, you would. In the most offensive way I can say that, I feel like you would anonymously go, hey, I found this child on the street and needed a great home.
It wouldn't be on the street. I would go through the proper legal channels.
Yeah, you would. Because at 17, you would have taken the proper legal channels to adopt a child. Life update, starting now after that side rant. Life's been good. I've been very busy with choir and my new musical that I'm in, and in college, which has hit me like an absolute freight train. Second semester, which is, it's been great. It's been stressful and it's made me crash out a few times, but what doesn't? Yeah, it's going well. Though, your life update?
So, I recently noticed that all of my classes are electives, which is great. I have one class, or maybe two, but one of them is more of like a fun class. I have one class that is not an elective. I could graduate tomorrow and be okay with it, because I can.
Do you have all your English credits?
I do, actually, at this point, because my other English class counted as multiple, and so it was enough. So I have a lot of fun classes. I legitimately go from a communications class that is going to be pretty fun to a class where I get to create lesson plans and then go and like teach them to children who are like 4. And yeah, it's a daycare class and half of it is spent in the daycare, and so I get to go and like play with the children. And
I'm surprised after that plastic baby you decided to take another daycare class.
I legitimately just took it for the teacher. Miss Kim is probably one of my favorite teachers.
Fantastic. I've never had her as a teacher, but I hear she was just such an amazing teacher.
Yeah. So
hopefully she listens to the podcast.
Actually, I hope that she does.
So. You're fantastic, and I've never had you.
It might be a part of my professional development for my 8th period class, which is teaching as a profession. So that's going to be great.
Yeah.
But then my 3rd period is concert choir. I think we're both loving concert choir right now.
It's been fantastic.
Just heard our region pieces. So.
Always love that class and always will.
Yeah. And then 4th period, I'm a TA for Mr. Jepson. Shout out to Mr. Jepson. He turned 38 yesterday. He was also our 2nd podcast episode guest. So
such an amazing teacher.
Such an amazing teacher.
One of out of my entire school experience, if he listens to this, probably one of he is in my top 5 favorite teachers I've ever had.
Yeah, I actually do think he listens to the podcast.
Oh, I love that. Shout out to Jepson.
Shout out to Jepson. We love you.
Love Jepson.
And then 5th period, I have my English class, and yes, it is my required class, but Ms. Hernandez makes it so much fun, and so I'm gonna survive. Even though I hate APA. If you hate APA, shoot us a comment, because I also hate APA.
I don't have to work with APA because I'm taking online English.
I live life in MLA. I accidentally write the scripts in MLA.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of your long messages that you send me are accidentally formatted in MLA.
They are.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and read them.
When I text you about the episode, it is actually formatted in MLA.
It is in MLA format, actually.
With a 4-line heading, you can't see.
It's just pretentious.
And then after that, I have seminary. I have Brother German again. No notes about that. And then afterwards, I have madrigals. We today got given our sheet music for Gloria by John Rutter. If you don't know that piece, it is 45 pages long, 17 minutes to sing. And go listen to it. It has 3 movements.
It's great.
It's wonderful. I can't wait to not have to memorize it.
And if you fall asleep during the 2nd movement, don't even worry. You will be awoken at the beginning of the 3rd.
Just boom! Boom! Woken up. Okay. Yeah, my parents are gonna love that. I can guarantee that my father would fall asleep during the 2nd movement and instantly wake up and make some noise before the 3rd movement actually lands.
Alright.
Yeah, and then my last period is teaching as a profession, so I get to go and do an internship with the choir teacher, and I get to do professional development, and this actually might be a part of my professional development, so Miss Kim might have to be listening to her podcast. Anyways.
Oh, love that. Alright,
and that concludes the life update.
Was the parenting simulation more or less difficult than you expected?
It was absolutely more difficult than I expected. When I picked up the baby for the first time, I actually had no clue that it would be a lot heavier than when I was tired. It legit felt 10 times heavier when I was tired, and that was horrible. It was also a lot more difficult to get things done when I had a robot child to take care of, though I was able to let it feed itself. Burping and changing the diaper of this child was a whole thing, and it made it so I could do nothing else. I will say that my YCC meeting was a lot more interesting, as I, the mayor of the council, walked around with a plastic child to check on each group. Though I was able to finish listening to a few podcast episodes while burping, so that was great.
Great, of course. How did your family react? At first, at the end, what did they react?
So my family had an interesting reaction, throughout the entire experience. I asked them to stay as far away from this plastic child as possible while I had it to ensure that I would get the most points possible. My mom just wanted to hold it the entire time. And both of my parents thought that every problem could be solved the way that they solved it when I was a baby, which was just suffer through it and leave it alone. My which, if you know anything about this child, it would like fail you if you did that. It'd be like, you didn't even attempt to help me. um, yeah. My siblings scared me the most with the child. None of them touched it, yet, due to their history of breaking things, I was afraid of them even being in the same room as it. Near the end, my family lost interest because I would get so mad at anybody who got close to the child, and I was so sleep deprived that they were just scared of me. So that was great.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right. So you talked about like going in public and going to the temple and like doing all this. How were you treated in public with a plastic baby?
So this is a really fun question. Has a lot of fun, like, word for word quotes. I received a lot of awkward glances from strangers mostly, mainly when I went to the temple and when I went to Walmart on the first day to get a birthday gift for my mom. When I was with my ward at the temple, I got questions like, and these were the quotes: "How is it being a new dad? What's its name? What's that for? Do you have something to tell us?" That was my bishop's, by the way. And, like, I couldn't have asked for a better bishop. Or my favorite, what the crap is that?
Yeah.
I was asked that by not one, but, like, 5 people in my ward. And I answered, like, to one of them. And then they all, like, lined up and asked
the same
one at a time. And I was like, cool, great. It's a robot baby for my class. It made me feel really weird to walk around with the carrier and try to look normal. Like, I'm 17 at that point, and I'm carrying a baby carrier. Like,
a giant plastic
one that
baby.
is too big for the child. Like, even though the child is, like, bigger than a child would actually be at the stage of life that it's simulating. So, anyways, it was great.
Fantastic. So, like, you kind of answered this, but how did the baby affect your social life, your sleep, your school, work, homework? What adjustments did you have to make in your schedule and in your life?
So, let's just say I actually had no social life when I had the baby. I planned it that way. I was so scared of it going off that I mentally locked myself into homework. So, Ms. Hernandez, if you're wondering how I actually passed your class last semester, it was the 2 days that I had a child.
It's because I had a baby.
My sleep, I feel sort of weird walking around after being woken up twice, but I actually feel that way anytime that I sleep somewhere that isn't my bed, because my back just feels weird, and I always have a migraine the first night after I, like, sleep somewhere that isn't my bed. So I will say that my sleep is pretty lacking normally. So the child didn't really alter that because I went to bed a lot earlier than normal. I haven't really experienced any problems at school other than my thoughts not staying in the same place for more than 30 seconds, which only happens if I'm sleep deprived. So, you know, normal. What adjustments did I make? Well, for one, I slept on the couch, which was horrible. I tried to stay where I was with the baby the entire time, and I did nothing except care for the robot and do what I was required to do at that time. So, it was great.
Of course. Love plastic robot baby. Perfect.
Yep. Adagio for life, guys.
Adagio for life. It'll be the merch. Merch is coming soon on our website.
Yeah, merch soon, guys. Designed by Jasper. Because I won't be designing merch or selling it anytime soon.
So, how did the simulation with the plastic baby affect your future plans?
So I don't think that I have changed any of my future life plans about children. I have always known that having a child is miserable for the parts that the simulator was actually simulating. I expected this to be horrible, and it basically was. It is also not the best simulation of what life will actually be like. For example, the baby won't die if you let it cry for 5 minutes when I drive home. But no, the plastic one would have. Don't worry.
Trust.
Trust, it would die. I fully believe that the robot thought that that is what happens. So I think the biggest factor that actually changes my ideas of what I want my future plans to be is the state of the world. I don't think that the simulator could have made me want to have more children, and even as it made me feel like having one child is too much, I think that I can get through. So in conclusion for this question, the plan is still to have 1 or 2 children.
In your opinion, what are 3 prerequisites for being a parent?
Well, for starters, requirement 1 is you should obviously be out of high school. The best advice that me and my mother have for any high school student is, and it's a list, be safe, have fun, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't take anyone out of the world, and don't bring anyone into it. I think that there is most definitely an age requirement for having a child, and high school is not the place or the time. The brain is nowhere near developed enough, and there's so much going on constantly, a child would just make everything worse in high school. Requirement 2, have a stable income. This is getting harder by the year. Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to live off of the money I make at my 3 part-time jobs? This problem is just intensified with a child. For example, on average, having a child costs over $30,000 a year, and the average American salary is around $80,000. Did I say $3,000? $30,000 and $8,000. That's almost half of the salary going into raising a child. Now, requirement 3, find the magic. If you have listened to episode 4, you might remember that my mom said that she hopes that I take the magic from my childhood with me throughout the rest of my life. I love the little magical things my parents have done for me to make my childhood as amazing as it was, and I feel that any child could benefit from being able to find the magic in their life. So this question asked me to discuss with my parents. So here's the question, and
all right, so it says, discuss with your parents how they handled you as an infant. How did they handle the stress? Is there anything they would do differently? And are there any other suggestions they would recommend?
So when I got this assignment, I copy and pasted that question and texted it to my mom. And here is her word for word answer. You never slept, so I was exhausted. But other than that, you were my easiest. It was just you and I, so I did whatever you needed/wanted. Dad was at school and work all the time. What would I do different? You would not take a bottle, so you were about 2 before I left you, even for 15 minutes. But also that was okay because I only had you, so we just walked all over Provo and Orem. My suggestions, I wish you had learned to go to bed before I had Brindley. It was so hard having 2 kids who never slept. So, there you go.
Yeah. So this next question asks him to compare and contrast what it would be like to be a parent as a teen.
What I just experienced.
What he just experienced with what you think it would be like to be a parent as an adult.
So I think that this would make the most difference. Going through the list given, let's just see what differences I make up. The expenses from the first year as a teen, these could be handled very differently. If your parents still have some of the baby stuff you use, you could take some of them and use them for your child. If not, you might be able to ask around and get items from neighbors or from services available to help teen parents. I know that a lot of my neighbors have a lot of baby clothes, mostly because my parents give them the baby clothes from all of my siblings. For adults, it might be easier to afford the first year because of hopefully a stable job. I would dearly hope adults have a stable job. It is also much easier for an adult to get insurance. As teens, if under 18, you can't get your own insurance. So, wonderful. Taking care of the child in the first year for a teen, well, you could have your parents help. You could have your parents take care of the child during the day when you're at school, and then you could take care of the child when you get home. I think your best bet here is to trust your parents. If they're able to get you to where you are, they should be able to help your grandchild get there too. Or they should be able to help their grandchild get there too. Taking care of the child within the first year as an adult might be a little bit more difficult. Like a teen, if you were close to your parents, they could help. You could take your child to daycare, but that costs money. With all hope, you might have a wonderful spouse who can help with taking care of the child. Pretty much, just hope that you are close to people who can help you. My overall thoughts with Adagio is that it was difficult. I have never stressed more about a piece of plastic in my entire life.
Yep, sounds about right.
I would say that this was not the most accurate depiction of the good parts of having a child and what that's like, but it was a good way of showing the worst parts of having a child.
I think, honestly, that's a really good thing. Because I feel like the world a lot of times shows, oh, you know, if you have kids, it's such a great thing. You get to watch them grow up. You get to have, you know, all these little toys and baby clothes for them. And yes, that's a good thing. I think it's good to have these harsh experiences that are like, you can be woken up at 3 in the morning and have to feed them for an hour and then change their diaper and do this. And then you may get back to bed for only an hour before it happens again. And it's a great way of showing these hard experiences. And while it doesn't show many good experiences, you can take that and go, oh, I see all these people talking about the good experiences, so I'll listen to that as well as take in what I learned with the robot baby.
Yeah. And I think, and this is like the biggest thing for my parents when they were like, oh, this is why it's hard. It's like to just drive people away from having a child too soon. And I think that was a wonderful thing, and it's a great reason to do this project. If you think you're going to have a child, please do this first. Please experience only the bad, and only the bad for 2 or more days. See, when we were watching the videos about how to take care of this child, it was from the company that like made these, and they're like, you're going to take this baby home for 2 to 3 weeks. And I was like, no. If I have to take this baby home for more than like 72 hours, I might chuck it off a roof. So yeah, I am really glad that I was able to get this done and have the experience that I did. Now for this tiny story, after having the robot child and losing all faith in myself and humanity, I had work. I was working Skyscraper Lagoon, which is the big Ferris wheel. It is the only ride on the park that you can have a child in your arms while you ride. Now, this is important because when I was trained on Skyscraper, we were told this, and then I had never seen a baby ride it. That was until that night. And by the way, I am talking about the night after I finished having the child. So I was still sleep deprived, and I had a shift from 2:30 to like 1 a.m. And so, but that was until that night. I ended up seeing not 1, not 2, but 5 infants ride Skyscraper in their mother's arms. I tried to stay the night at the attendant position all night so that I can like use the guests to stay awake, and almost every one of these mothers noticed how tired I was, even though I didn't show it. One of them actually said, "You look as if you stayed up all night with my baby." Each of the mothers actually talked about how they had the robot babies and how much they had learned. They also always said that they had never wanted children after having the robot. But above all, they said that having a child is just a big learning curve. You just have to get through the first bumps, and then it becomes a bit easier. Never extremely easy, just easier. Anyways, thank you for joining me and Jasper for this episode of the I Believe podcast.
Join us next week for our episodes on the Stranger Things finale and us giving our opinions. We cannot wait to have you.
We really can. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.